Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to be taking a deep dive into psychopaths.
Oh, yeah.
You guys have given us some pretty interesting academic excerpts that analyze this anime series, and I'm very excited to break down its thought-provoking take on algorithmic policing with you today.
Well, it's a fantastic example of what Isaac Asimov called social science fiction. Using futuristic technology to explore very real societal issues.
Yeah.
In this case, Psychopaths takes us to 22nd century Japan, where a powerful supercomputer called the Sybil system governs society.
So paint the picture for us. What is the Sybil system? And how does it work?
Well, imagine a world where your likelihood of committing a crime is constantly being calculated.
Oh, wow.
The Sybil system does just that, judging people based on their mental state, personality, and emotions.
Right.
All of this is captured in a measurable score called your Psychopaths.
Okay. Getting some definite Minority Report vibes here.
Yeah.
But what's even more unsettling is how Psychopaths presents this technology as hard science fiction, making it feel all the more plausible and chilling.
Precisely. And that's what makes this duck dive so important.
Yeah.
We need to understand the implications of this kind of technology, even if it's fictional.
Right.
Because, as you know, science fiction often foreshadows reality.
Right, yeah. So how does this constant surveillance actually play out in the Psychopaths world?
So think about it. Scanners are everywhere.
Wow.
Constantly monitoring people's psychopaths in both public and private spaces.
Oh, wow.
If your crime coefficient, as it's called, gets too high, the authorities, specifically the Criminal Investigation Division or CID, are dispatched.
Okay. So that's where the Dominators come in, right?
Yes.
These futuristic handguns that the CID officers use.
Right.
They're not your typical weapons.
Exactly. The Dominators are chillingly sophisticated.
Right.
They can analyze a person's psychopaths in real time and literally tell the officer whether to shoot or not.
Wow.
And even dictate the type of shot to use, lethal or non-lethal.
Right.
It takes away the officer's autonomy, making them essentially an extension of the Sybil system.
Like that one character, Tomomi Masaoka, says, I've only ever obeyed that gun's orders. That line always sends chills down my spine.
Yeah.
But are we seeing any echoes of this kind of technology in our own world today?
Absolutely. Psychopaths exaggerates real-world trends for sure.
Right.
But we're already seeing things like predictive policing algorithms, facial recognition software, and increasingly sophisticated data valence systems being implemented.
Right.
The show holds up a mirror to these developments and asks some uncomfortable questions about how far we're willing to go in the name of security.
Now, you mentioned some pretty heavy academic concepts that the show grapples with.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on the connections to Foucault's Panopticon and Deleuze's Societies of Control?
The Panopticon, as you may know, is a theoretical prison where inmates are constantly under surveillance. It creates a sense of perpetual visibility that forces individuals to self-regulate their behavior. Psychopaths takes this concept to a societal level, with the Sybil system acting as the all-seeing eye.
Right. And it's not just about surveillance.
Right.
The Sybil system also has these aptitude tests that determine your optimal role in society.
Yes.
It's like a super-powered career guidance test, but with terrifying consequences.
That's where Deleuze's concept of societies of control comes in. He argued that modern societies are increasingly moving away from disciplinary institutions like prisons and towards more subtle forms of control that operate through technology and data. The Sybil system embodies this shift, shaping people's lives from cradle to grave.
It all feeds into this idea of a pre-crime society that we see in the show.
Right.
Could you explain that concept and how it connects to the work of criminologist Lucia Zedner?
Of course. Zedner's research explores the shift towards preemptive measures in crime control. It's the idea that preventing crime becomes more important than punishing it.
Right.
Psychopaths takes this to the extreme, where potential criminals are identified and dealt with before they can even commit a crime.
And the irony is that in trying to eliminate violence, the state itself becomes the ultimate perpetrator of control.
Right.
This leads us to what you called algorithmic tyranny.
Yeah.
What are the core dangers of this, as depicted in the series?
Algorithmic tyranny is when crucial judgments about our lives are made by algorithms, not people. Psychopaths illustrates this danger perfectly with the story of Akana Tsunemori, the protagonist.
Right.
She's a rookie inspector in the CID who quickly becomes disillusioned with the system.
Okay.
At one point, she's ordered to execute an innocent woman whose psychopath spiked due to trauma, not criminal intent. This forces her to confront the ethical dilemmas inherent in blind faith in algorithms.
It's a powerful illustration of how algorithms can be flawed, biased, and ultimately dehumanizing.
Right.
And this brings us to another fascinating character, Shogo Makishima.
Yes.
He deliberately challenges the system, right?
Yes. Makishima is the antagonist, but he's not your typical villain.
Okay.
He actually wants to commit crimes, but manages to maintain a low psychopath, which exposes a fundamental flaw in the system.
Right.
It shows that even the most sophisticated algorithms can't fully grasp the complexity of human behavior and motivations. He becomes this sort of unmeasurable criminal. It really highlights the limitations of trying to reduce complex human actions into data points. He forces us to ask, what is crime if the algorithm can't even recognize it?
It's almost like he's a ghost in the machine,
right,
slipping through the cracks of this supposedly perfect system.
Yeah.
But there's one more twist that really blows the whole thing wide open, right?
Yeah.
The true nature of the Sybil system itself.
Ah, yes. We eventually discovered that the Sybil system isn't true AI at all. It's actually a collective of human brains working together, making the decisions that impact everyone's lives.
Talk about a mind-blowing reveal. It completely shatters this illusion of algorithmic objectivity and neutrality that the system has built up.
Exactly. It exposes a crucial point. Even when we think we've created a purely data-driven system, human biases are always lurking beneath the surface. This connects back to the idea of data fictions, the stories we tell ourselves to justify believing that data is the ultimate truth.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, especially in our data-obsessed world. But Psychopaths reminds us that we need to be critical thinkers, questioning where data comes from and whose interests it might serve. This whole system creates a palpable sense of anxiety for the characters living under it, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The characters are constantly worried about their psychopath scores, afraid of being labeled latent criminals, and losing their place in society.
It's like they're living in this panopticon where every thought and emotion is scrutinized.
And this leads to a chilling effect on individuality and creativity. People become so obsessed with maintaining a healthy psychopath that they suppress their true selves. Afraid to express any thoughts or emotions that might raise their score.
This makes me think about our own anxieties around data privacy and online surveillance. While we may not have psychopath scanners, the feeling of being constantly watched and judged isn't entirely unfamiliar, is it?
That's a great observation. Psychopath serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that even in our own world, the erosion of privacy can have profound psychological and social consequences. Makes us question, how much of ourselves are we willing to surrender in the name of security?
We've talked a lot about the negative aspects of this system, but does the show offer any alternative viewpoints? Does anyone defend the Sybil system?
Yes, there are characters who argue that the Sybil system, despite its flaws, has brought about a significant decrease in crime and violence. They argue that it's created a more stable and predictable society where people feel safe.
That's an interesting perspective. It reflects a real-world debate we're having right now. How do we balance security and freedom in a technologically advanced society?
Precisely. And Psychopaths doesn't provide easy answers. It forces us to grapple with the complexities and nuances of these issues. There's no clear-cut right or wrong.
The show also highlights the importance of human judgment and empathy. Even in a world dominated by algorithms.
You see that most clearly in the character of Akane Tsunemori. Throughout the series, she wrestles with her conscience, trying to find a balance between upholding the law and protecting individual rights.
She often goes against the grain, questioning the Sybil system's judgments.
Yes.
And fighting for justice, even when it means defying her superiors.
Her struggles highlight the limitations of blindly following algorithms, especially when dealing with something as complex as human behavior. Akane reminds us that data can't always capture the full picture, and that human intuition and empathy are still essential, especially in matters of justice.
So Psychopaths presents this chilling vision of algorithmic tyranny, but also gives us hope through characters like Akane, who fight to retain their humanity and challenge the system.
Yes.
But what's the takeaway For us, the viewers, what can we learn from this fictional world and apply to our own lives?
One of the key takeaways, I think, is the importance of critical thinking. Psychopaths encourages us to question the systems that govern our lives, to be wary of blind faith in technology, and to consider the potential consequences of surrendering our autonomy to algorithms.
It's about being aware, being informed, and engaging in thoughtful discussions about the ethical implications of technology, particularly as AI and data collection become more sophisticated.
It also reminds us that technology is a tool, and like any tool, it can be used for good or evil. The future isn't predetermined. It's shaped by the choices we make today.
That sense of agency is crucial. It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the rapid pace of technological advancements. But Psychopaths empowers us to think critically and question the trajectory we're on.
Exactly. The show encourages us to imagine different possibilities, to ask ourselves, what kind of future do we want to create? And to actively work towards that future, rather than passively accepting whatever technological advances come our way.
It strikes me that Psychopaths isn't just about technology and crime. It also delves into some pretty deep philosophical questions about human nature and free will.
Absolutely. The very premise of the civil system, judging people based on their potential to commit crimes, raises fundamental questions about what it means to be human. If our actions are predetermined, do we really have free will? Or are we simply products of our biology and environment?
It's interesting that the show also touches on transhumanist ideas. The civil system itself, a collective of human brains integrated with technology, blurs the lines between organic and artificial intelligence.
That's right. It forces us to consider the potential implications of such advancements. What happens when technology becomes so intertwined with our minds and bodies? At what point do we cease to be human as we traditionally understand it?
These are questions that science fiction has been exploring for decades, but they're becoming increasingly relevant in our own time. As AI, biotechnology, and other fields advance at an unprecedented pace.
Precisely. And Psychopaths serves as a cautionary tale, urging us to think carefully about the ethical and societal implications of these technologies before they become too powerful to control. It's not about rejecting progress, but about ensuring that it aligns with our values and serves humanity's best interests.
As we wrap up our deep dive into Psychopaths, I keep coming back to one question. If we could create a system like the civil system, one that could predict and prevent crime with a high degree of accuracy, should we?
That's the ultimate question the show poses, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer. It forces us to confront the potential costs of such a system, the loss of privacy, the erosion of individual freedoms, and the potential for bias and abuse.
It seems like a Faustian bargain. Trading our autonomy for the promise of security.
Exactly. Psychopaths reminds us that there's no such thing as a utopia. And that even seemingly benevolent technologies can have unintended consequences. It's up to us to have these critical conversations and make informed decisions about the future we want to create.
I think that's a powerful message for all of us, especially in this age of rapid technological advancement. Psychopaths has given us a lot to think about. It's a chilling, but ultimately hopeful story that challenges us to be aware, engaged, and to fight for the kind of future we believe in.
I couldn't agree more. It's a show that should resonate with anyone concerned about the intersection of technology, society, and the very essence of what it means to be